Hi, Nalin Inquisitor again, with this time how to start with Numenera, or how to begin with this game. You see, I bought the game and I've read most of it, and I was theoretically ready to go. And then something happened. I took the game and put it on the shelf, and it stayed there. And sometime I pick up the book, read again, and I put it back on the shelf. When I started to prep my next campaign, and I was not even sure if I were to be using Numenera's mechanics or setting, I encountered something very peculiar, an incapacity to feel at home in the setting, to make it my own, or to come up with a meaningful story. And for a guy like me, a game master of certain experience, I have usually skills to get unstuck, to dodge or evade the blank page, the white page, or the absence of ideas. I have skills to generate stuff in my head, and I have techniques and process, and I'm used to that. But I had to quickly admit that science fantasy as a genre is really strange for me. It's fantasy, but everything is explained by science and super science. Doing the exercise to prep my game with this setting, I realized early on that I prefer my fantasy and my sci-fi separated. Maybe it's the mind of a comic book fan that is wired like that, but in comics you can have everything in your setting, fantasy and sci-fi coexisting perfectly. But things are generally separated. Mage are mages, and the robots and cyborg are what they are. So I kind of struggle to start my first game. I did not see how I could just run a fantasy where everything is scientific or have logic in it. It kind of boot the fantastic or the mysterious right in the nuts. And because of that, I felt that Numenera was too high concept, too conceptual or weird or random to even be something that I could feel it could be meaningful or real or like a real world. It's so far in the future. So I was kind of lost, and instead of admitting it and working with that, I just put the book back on the shelf, and it took a while. It's kind of weird for a game that is so simple. But I was lost in not knowing where to start. This book has very good content, but it throws out everything out there without structure, without something familiar, like a series of cool ideas coming from a binders of cool stuff generated over years and years of taking notes. And Numenera is described as weird through and through. And weird is the key word. The Game Master section in this book describes how to make the setting look weird, the NPC act weird, the power and Numeneras, and how to make them feel weird. And the setting is set a billion years in the future with aliens and strange worlds and strange concept and so forth. So I found maybe how, and I finally did something. I discovered something for myself to be able to work with this game more easily. And maybe it's just me rambling here, but maybe it will help somebody who have a similar difficulty running science fantasy. So here how I worked it out. Here's my secret to on how to start with Numenera and make the setting of Numenera more concrete, more meaningful or real or objective, and less high concept and less intellectual, let's say. Here's the secret. Make it normal and then make it weird. A contrast between normality and absolute weirdness, I believe, is necessary to make this game accessible, to make the setting feel more human or more real. You need to make it normal and then make it weird. A setting that is 100% weird all the time is impossible to grasp, or it's impossible to feel comfortable or familiar in the setting. Otherwise it becomes just a high concept experience. You need a contrast between the normality of life, the humanity of life, the everyday little thing that make us human, and compare that to weird stuff. You need to. The setting cannot be just weird all the time. It doesn't work. So my suggestion would be just that. If you have difficulty to run a science fantasy genre, because maybe you don't accept science in your fantasy like I did, start with normal stuff. Start with relatively normal town or village or city, and slowly add weird element to it. If everyone, for example, if everyone in town have the skin colors that span all the colors of the rainbow, then the two-headed merchant at the corner of the street will feel just as ordinary as everyone else. But place that two-headed merchant in a relatively normal town, and boy, your players will have worries about or be interested in that freak, that two-headed freak. So I made the mistake of trying to include all the weirdness found in the book right from the get-go, and I could not work with that much weird stuff all at once. It's impossible to do. So that's why I did not start my game during the holidays or before that. I could not find the angle, and I found it. I succeeded. So I believe it's a mistake I think maybe you could avoid if you're interested in settings you're not sure you can run. Sometimes it's just about finding the right angle in your head, in your mind. It's all in there. You have to find a way. You should make it your own. Look at this setting frankly and make it your own, and make it simple and normal in the beginning. And that will be accessible to you and your player before embracing the weirdness and the fantastic. So I hope this will help. So thanks for watching, and see you later. Bye.